Hey y'all, welcome to the December Fragrance Awards. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that a whole additional year has passed. It feels like just yesterday we were doing December 2021 Fragrance Awards. In these videos, if you're new to the channel, I review a number of the fragrances that I wore during the past month and put them into some just fun fake award categories that I made for entertainment. The feedback that I've gotten from all of you is that you enjoy the videos. I hope that's still the case. Please let me know in the comments below so that I can keep putting time into these videos if you want to see them. I started them probably in like May, June of 2021, and they've been just a fun way to do like a month in review of the fragrances that I wore that month. So stay tuned because probably tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, I'm going to be posting a whole year in review video where I'll look at like the entire year's fragrance awards videos and choose best of class in each one of those categories. So that is going to be fun. So I've rearranged the categories for the fragrance awards to make a little bit more sense to me. And I've also chosen to delete the best gift category that seemed to be like the least meaningful category that I had in terms of helping you understand what a fragrance smells like. And gifts are like so personal. I always had a hard time figuring out what really goes in that category in a way that makes sense for people. I'm actually going to start with best for the season, the fragrance that's best for this deep, dark part of winter if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, this category may not make a whole lot of sense depending on when you watch it. But the fragrance that I've chosen for this category is Boucheron's Oud de Carthage. First of all, can we take a second to acknowledge how gigantic these bottles are from the special Boucheron line? This is 4.1 fluid ounces, 125 mLs. Whoa, big old bottle. This is a fragrance that I think if you are interested in oud, but you don't want like a beastly, overly projecting, overly overwhelming oud fragrance, you may want to try something like this. I would call this like not a beginner oud, but maybe an intermediate oud. It isn't the most powerful of ouds. It comes on a little bit strong and then it mellows out really nicely. It has a smooth oud note with no barnyard touches. If you're new to fragrances, when people refer to oud being barnyardy, it means it smells slightly fecal, like a little bit poopy. Not a barnyardy oud. A really soft, gentle oud, a leather note that's very buttery and refined, a honey note that gives it some sweetness, and a hint of smokiness. When I first put this on, it smelled a little masculine to me, and it dries down and becomes a little bit sweeter and a little bit more tolerable if you are wanting a really sweet feminine fragrance. I will say for those of you that prefer only feminine fragrances, this is not for you. It does lean slightly in the masculine direction past what I consider the unisex midpoint. Super feminine, super masculine, unisex midpoint. This is maybe over here, right? But it is, I think, lovely and one that I think would translate well for evening affairs as well. If you're looking for a special occasion oud fragrance that isn't too overpowering, like one that I'm going to talk about here momentarily, this might be a beautiful option for you. And I think it would make a great gift for the man in your life if he likes oud fragrances and wants something a little bit softer than your traditional men's cologne kind of smell that can be a little bit scratchy, overwhelming, like overpowering in the air. This is a really nice, refined fragrance, Oud de Carthage. The next category is your best everyday fragrance, meaning that fragrance that you can just pull off the shelf, wear whenever, no matter what conditions you're going to be in, how close you're going to be to other people, if you're going to be in a crowded room or not, if you're going to daycare to pick up your kid, if you're going to a medical appointment, whatever the case may be, grocery shopping, all of those things that we do on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis. And I'm going with Prada Candy for this one. I know some people are rather unimpressed with this fragrance, and you know how I feel about that. I've talked about that in other videos. I don't need every fragrance to knock my socks off. Sometimes I just need a fragrance that I know is a reliable, lovely, pleasant smell, and this is one. It's close to the skin and it's soft. This is not a heavily projecting fragrance that people are going to smell across the room unless you overspray. If you spray just a little bit of this, it's a really gentle, very like soft, muted, in my opinion, caramel, musky, woody smell with some hints of powderiness. There might be times when you feel like you don't smell this on you and others can smell if they're in your scent bubble. I find this to be a really pleasant fragrance and it's sitting on my comfort shelf, my sweater weather, cozy sweater weather fragrance shelf because it's one that, and it could be on my everyday like white t-shirt shelf too, appropriate for either one, but it's up there now because it's one that I love to reach for. It's a newer one to my collection. So let me rephrase that. I've reached for it a couple of times in the evening as a cozy, like bedtime kind of scent, hanging around the house, your Netflix and chill sort of fragrance, or one that you can reach for quickly if you're running out the door to do some holiday shopping, for example. This has been a nice, inoffensive one, and I think the bottle is super cute as well. The next category is going to be your best special occasion fragrance, and I cannot not choose Lancome's Oud Bouquet. Yes, this has gotten a lot of airtime on YouTube over the past few years. Less so this year, I would say, than last year. It had its golden glory moment in 2021. Actually, the end of 2020 into 2021 is when this one was like exalted. It was up on that pedestal on YouTube. I still think this is a gorgeous fragrance. You can see I haven't gone through a lot of this. Why is that? My friends, you don't need a lot of sprays of this. I've told a number of stories on this channel about me overspraying this and making enemies as a result, including here in this house. I nearly had a divorce. I'm kidding. I'm not getting divorced, but I'm joking around. I almost had a divorce off of this when I sprayed this maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 times. Nerve of me, right? And I went and sat down on our couch downstairs, and my husband was like, he was really, really quiet for a long time. And finally he was like, "What are you wearing?" And I was like, "It's Oud Bouquet. Isn't it fabulous?" And he was like, "I am nauseous." This thing obviously filled this entire, not this room, but the room downstairs, our family room, which has tall ceilings, by the way. You would have think that this smell would have dissipated. No, it did not. Apparently this was just like nuclear, offensive, way too much. And he wanted me to go wash it off. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? It's Oud Bouquet. It's fabulous." Well, you really do only need a couple of sprays. I wore this month. I do work from home. I would never wear this to an office setting, friends. Ever. Ever, unless you wanted to get fired. I would, however, wear this to an evening affair, particularly in the fall and the winter when you're going to be in a big space with a lot of people and you want your smell to stand out. But please take my advice and spray once or twice. In fact, I would suggest getting a travel spray of this or one of the smaller sprays. I think it's a 50 mil, if I'm not mistaken, or 30 mil that Lancome sells of this. Get that instead. What is this? This is an oud fragrance. So this is a stronger oud than Oud de Carthage, which is a smoother, more refined, kind of really gentler oud. This is a stronger oud. It's not in the barnyardy range. It's a nice, nice oud. We also get a really sweet praline note that some people find sickeningly sweet mixed with vanilla. So I find this to be a sweet, oudy fragrance. There are hints of rose. I don't find the rose in this overwhelming at all, even though it's a rose that's featured on this like plaque on here. This is an incredibly elegant, sophisticated fragrance that is a statement fragrance. You know how we talk about statement jewelry, something chunky and strong that you want to stand out? This is that fragrance you wear when you want to be known in the room. Very mature fragrance, not for people that enjoy younger, fresher, lighter fragrances. Very mature, very sweet, can be incredibly cloying and overpowering if you spray too much or if you're not ready for this kind of scent profile. I go next to the sexiest fragrance of the month, and hands down, it is Tabit from Tiziana Terenzi. This is a fragrance that to me is like a classic case study in why you should give a fragrance more than one try before you make up your mind about it. You're entitled to do whatever you want. If you want to try one time and give up on something, knock yourself out. My advice to you is try a second time and a third time, and maybe in different conditions. When I first sampled this fragrance, I thought it was just okay. I didn't understand all the hype. People were raving and raving about what a fantastic fragrance this was. And I was like, it's okay. Came back to it a little bit later, tried it again, and realized how awesome it is. Now, let me say this about Tabit. It's ridiculously priced on some websites, up to $400. Absolutely not. Make sure you don't, this is my own opinion. Again, do what you want. It's your money. Don't pay more than half of that for this at the most. I think I found it for in the 200 or under range, like 170 to 200, somewhere in there. Even that I think is quite a lot for a fragrance, but I think that this is worth it in my opinion. My husband adores this on me. As you know, I have posted texts from my husband. We work from home together and sometimes he's on calls. And when I come downstairs, I have to walk past his office to get to my office and I leave a scent trail. Sometimes his message is, "What is that?" And sometimes it's, "What is that?" This was one of those, "What is that? What are you wearing?" And here is the text message associated with Tabit. So hubby really likes this fragrance a lot on me. It's a great date night fragrance. What does it smell like? I now understand the assignment with this fragrance, okay? So I have trouble with peach notes, and I didn't realize I was smelling a nice peach note. In here, I don't like the peach in like Trésor, for example. That Lancome Trésor, I can't tolerate that. In fact, I had to give that fragrance away. The peach in here is a really soft, sweet peach in the sense that I remember. I'm talking about like your Georgia peaches. And I have had freshly picked Georgia peaches, my friends. There's nothing else like it. So there's peach, there's cotton candy note in here, some sweetness, a lot of sweet, fruity notes, and also floral, woody, and musky notes in here. Some people talk about this smelling beachy. There is a little bit of a beachy aspect if you think about it, right? If you imagine that, but for the most part, a fruity, woody, musky fragrance. And there are even some touches of greenness in here, which I really like. So this is a complex fragrance that I appreciate for what it is and glad it's in my collection and definitely date night worthy. The next category is the biggest surprise. And boy, what a surprise I got with this one. And I want to explain why. It is Soleil de Jeddah from Stefan Humbert Lucas. What a pretty bottle, by the way. Let's give it up for that top and that beautiful gold brick of a bottle. This fragrance, when I first sampled it, and the first few times I wore it, gave me citrus at the top, this beautiful lemony citrus note, a chamomile note as well, and then settled down into this really lovely but kind of harsh leather. So you have to be into a fragrance that's a bit sort of rougher around the edges. And I don't mean rough in an unrefined way like it smells cheap. It does not. But it is a rugged kind of a leather that's in this fragrance. Recently, when I tried this the last time, it gave me such a powerful scent memory that I wasn't ready for. It kind of rocked me in a way that really surprised me. And I don't know why. I can't explain to you why I didn't pick that up before, but I did now. It reminded me of two fragrances. It's like Private Collection from Estee Lauder, the original version, not the reformulated version. The original one that had that beautiful, like wet earth, green garden smell to it. Very, very unique, very distinctive smell combined with azuri. Anybody remember that fragrance? Very earthy, very aromatic, a heavy, heavy old school oak moss note in it. There was something about the opening of this that really took my breath away and reminded me of both of those other fragrances combined in a way that stopped me in my tracks and made me just wonder, where did that come from? And reminded me of the power of smell and its association with memories, because it took me right back to the late 80s, early 90s when I first became acquainted with those smells, actually mid 80s into early 90s. As this dried down, it becomes, like I said, it's a rugged leather, but it's not cheap smelling whatsoever. In fact, this is a little bit of a pricey fragrance, to be honest with you, but it has this earthy leatheriness to it and an iris note that almost comes across even like in the very far distance, slightly soapy. Really unique fragrance. The opening of this is a fantastic smell. Like I said, that reminds me of those fragrances, but if you don't have that memory association, you will probably just think this smells like a beautiful lemony leather scent in the opening. That's really quite nice. This is a very bizarre and unique fragrance and not one that I would advise blind buying. Even if you are an adventurous fragrance connoisseur kind of a thing, please sample this before you purchase it because it is that unique in my opinion. In the category of best bottle, Reve de Infini. I totally said that like in a Spanish way. Reve, Reve, whatever, this one, Reve de Infini. I think this is just the prettiest, most girly, fairy-esque bottle. Love the shape of it, love the frosting on it, love the gold lettering. It's really pretty. And the gold banding around the top. This is by Lalique. And it's a really fun, effervescent, light, floral, fruity. Not going to fill a room, not going to knock anyone out, but you're going to smell pretty and nice. Doesn't last the longest. You may get a few hours out of it. But gosh, just pretty, musky, powdery fragrance and looks beautiful on a vanity. This would make a great present for the teenage young ladies in your life, for a college student, for someone in their 20s, or anyone at any age that just likes a light, a nice, fun, flirty fragrance. Really pretty. It almost left my collection at one point because it is so light and not very long lasting, but whatever, the bottle's gorgeous. The next category is the worst bottle. Don't hate me, because sometimes this bottle is cute and sometimes it can feel a little bit tacky. My husband hates this bottle, which is why I'm putting it in this category. I don't mind it so much, but I had to choose something for the category. And it is Yes, I Am from Cacharel. I do like the kitschiness of this, but amongst the other bottles of the month, yes, this is probably the worst or tackiest bottle or whatever. Fragrance is really fun. You get a raspberry note, some caramel. It's lactonic, vanillic, a little bit spicy, a great cozy sweater weather type of fragrance. You know, when you're around the fireplace, if you have a fireplace or you gather around the fireplace scene on your TV, if you don't have a fireplace, whatever, this might be the fragrance that you would reach for to be cozy and cute and warm with your big chunky sweater, but not overwhelming. Definitely a cuddle fragrance. Really, really a nice one. in the category of my favorite blind buy, and this is one I have been looking at for a long, long time. Added to cart, took out of cart, added to cart, took out. And the person that convinced me to get it is my fragrant friend, Jay. She talked about La Vie Belle Intensement, whatever, the Intensement version here. I got a little one. And it was a blind buy. I haven't tried this before. She talked about this smelling. I think she said that it was a little bit like doughy, smelled sort of yeasty. She didn't use that word. I'm using that word, but she did say like bread-like. And I have to agree. This is raspberry and vanilla, and you get, I don't know if it's the vanilla or what it is happening in here, but I do get hints of something that smells like fresh bread. I love fresh bread. Who doesn't love hot, fresh bread? Do we want to smell like fresh bread? Sure, especially if it's accompanied by other sweet notes. It's a heavily sweet, vanillic fragrance that I enjoy. It's not cloyingly sweet, though, so there's a difference. It like stops just shy for me of being in that cloying, overwhelming, knock you out, too sweet kind of a space. Really neat purchase, and I finally learned to keep the little scarf on. I have La Vie Belle Eclat, and the poor scarf on that has disappeared. Love that bottle, and I'm mad at myself that I ever took the scarf off. But yeah, really great blind buy. So we follow up best blind buy with not a safe blind buy. This is a fragrance that was featured in my opinions on popular fragrances videos, where I sample it and then tell you how I feel about it and whether it's full bottle worthy or not from my standpoint. And I wasn't quite sure about this one. I thought, I'm not really sure if I need that. But then I heard yet again Evelyn from the Ev Effect talking about this being her favorite vanilla. And Evelyn gets me, and she has really great taste. Anything that I've purchased on her recommendation, I have loved. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try this out and purchase it. And I'm glad that I did, but I don't think that it's a safe blind buy for most people. And I'm going to tell you why. It's Initio's Absolute Aphrodisiac. What is it about this that makes it unsafe? Well, a lot of ladies, if you're a lady watcher, a female watcher, don't love leather in their fragrances, and some men don't either. This does have, I think, a fairly prominent leather note. But it's a soft leather. It's not an aggressive leather like you get in Soleil de Jetta, which I think is a lot more pronounced, if you will. This has very heavy doses of a beautiful vanilla alongside the leather that's in here, which is a smooth leather. There are some musky touches to it. The part that I think makes it not a safe blind buy is that it does have an animalic touch from a castoreum note. And if you know what castoreum is, it's from the animal world. We'll just leave it at that. So when you think about smells from zoo, for example, there's like a hint, just a slight hint of something like that, like a little bit of animal and or body funk in here. Just a hint, enough to give it that animalic touch that I think some people would find off-putting. I don't mind it, and I think it smells really great on skin. I like this a lot. So this one has joined my collection, but sample before you buy this one. It's definitely an interesting fragrance, and one that I think leans a little bit masculine. Actually, maybe not all the way masculine, but a little bit more than just masculine. Like it's in the masculine territory. Also has that beautiful sweet vanilla though. I'm moving up the overhyped and hidden gem categories, and then we're going to do the reverse of before. I'm going to do my low 3, medium 3, and top 3. So in the category of overhyped, hang with me here for a second because I'm going to ruffle a feather or two if you're a lover of this fragrance. It's Italica from Xerjoff. Now, I have an inspired by version from Alexandria Fragrances called Italian Caramel. It smells very, very close to Italica, and I have Italiano from Dua also as an inspired by version. I enjoy all of them. I think they're all nice. The reason that it's in the overhyped category, when I think of a fragrance being overhyped, I think about it being talked about to the extent where it is on a pedestal. It is beloved. You're absolutely sure to just fall head over heels for it. It's the best in class. And for a while there, people were talking about Italica being the best gourmand ever to hit the market. I think that is overhyped. I think it's a really nice gourmand that I enjoy a lot. I've sampled Italica itself and I like it. I think Italian Caramel here and the Dua inspired version Italiano are both really nice fragrances that I enjoy. Let's be clear, I enjoy them a lot. I just think that the praise that Italica gets is maybe too much. Like it's a little crazy. And part of the reason why is there is a cherry nuance. People don't really talk about that. Most people talk about it smelling like an Italian cafe. It smells like an almond biscotti, all of that stuff. While that's true, there's also, I pick up like a cherry nuance. Do you pick that up in Italica or in any of the dupes of Italica? And that cherry nuance sometimes comes with almond. Like if there's almond in a fragrance, sometimes you also pick up this like phantom cherry note also. And I find it to be a little bit just not right for the composition. It's almost like one of these notes is doing its own thing. One of these things is not the same. And in this composition, it's that cherry thing. I don't care for it very, very much in the composition, although I find the overall effect of it just fine. So to be clear, I'm not saying that it's not a nice fragrance. Of course it is. Yes, and I'm going to keep wearing my Italian caramel, and maybe someday I'll get the actual Italica, but it's in the overhyped category. In the hidden gem category is actually a dupe, another dupe, and this is from Stargaze Fragrances. I don't know that if there's an independent Stargaze fragrance website anymore. I think these fragrances are being sold under Strike Gold Shave. So the owner of the line of fragrances started Strike Gold Shave, a shave product company, and he also then branched off and did a woman's line of fragrances, and they're inspired by fragrances. And so they're on that website if you're interested, but it is the best dupe for Angelique Noir that I have ever laid my own nose on, and I adore it. It's called Aurora. I don't have the cap for it. I don't know what I did with the cap, but I'm going to tell you what, this fragrance here is beautiful. It is so close to Angelique Noir. I couldn't really tell the difference if I had them side by side. And if you haven't smelled Angelique Noir, it's almost like a green vanilla, a vanilla that has fresh stems or something like that from leaves. And there's a bit of powderiness to this. It's really, really nice. I've tried the Juliana's Parfums. I always say that, Juliana's perfume version of Angelique Noir, and it is also nice as well. This one here is fantastic, and I'm definitely going to make my way through this bottle. And because of this, I actually think I would purchase the actual Angelique Noir when I run out of this. Really gorgeous. If you want that scent profile but don't want to pay those big Guerlain dollars, go on a Strike Gold Shave's website and check this one out. Okay, we're going to go to the bottom 3 fragrances for the month. And just a reminder that this is compared to the other ones in the entire month. Not that there's something wrong or bad with these, although two of them, one I gave away and the other one I think I'm going to sell. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. So we'll start off with Estee Lauder's Modern Muse. Listen, this is a clean smelling, floral, fresh fragrance. Perfectly fine. I have it on my white t-shirt shelf, and one that's great to reach for when you have that jeans and white t-shirt or any color t-shirt. Why do we say white t-shirt? Where does that come from? I do know where it comes from. Fashion-wise, we tend to think of white t-shirts as just the quintessential piece that you wear on top when you just want to hang around. I'm being silly. But anyway, it's that white t-shirt kind of a fragrance. Really nice. Nothing wrong with it. And it's going to stay in the collection, but it just wasn't fabulous compared to the others from the month. That's all. So next up is one that almost ended up in the worst bottle category because it's difficult to apply, and I'll share why. I liked this when I first got it, and then when I wore it recently, it did something funny on me that I didn't really appreciate. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's Krazy Krizia. I like this a lot. It reminded me of Obsession when I first got it, like in that realm of things. But when I wore it recently, I got more of like a cigarette ashy kind of smell with it, which some people like that scent, that note in their fragrances. I am not that crazy about it, and I don't know what happened, if I'm just smelling it differently, if my sense of smell has changed or what. I did not pick that up the first time I wore it, or the second or third, because it's one that I've done like full wears on and then also just drive by, put on the wrist, wear to bed kind of things. This is an amber. Well, see, it smells really, really nice from there, but it's a dabber, okay? And I don't care for it not being like extremely tight on here. It just makes me nervous. In fact, I'm smelling it again and really like it. I was considering selling this, and now I'm like, should I? So I'm going to do an amber fragrance video in January, and we'll probably feature this one because I do think people that love amber might enjoy trying this. But the way that it dried down on me, I wasn't super crazy about. It wasn't awful where I was like ill. It wasn't one of those situations. But anyway, you get the idea. I don't need to over-explain that. Krazy Krizia. And then the last one I did end up passing along to a friend of mine. It's called Sophia by Sofia Vergara. I've had that fragrance for a long time. I have its sister Love that smells a little bit like Black Opium, also still in my collection. Sophia reminds me, and this is why I had to pass it along, it is a beautiful fragrance. It is a great affordable fragrance and a great celebrity fragrance. So if you see me doing videos in the future about those two categories, affordable and celebrity, you'll probably hear this again. But friends, not every nice fragrance is for everyone, and that is totally okay. So I can still say to you that Sophia is a lovely fragrance. I think officially it's no longer for me. I enjoyed wearing it the few times. This last time it reminded me even more than it did before of Coco Mademoiselle. Yes, Coco Mademoiselle, which is a fragrance that I have had a difficult time coming to love. There's just something, I can't explain it to you. There's some note in there that just doesn't sit super right with me, but I still think it's a beautiful smelling fragrance. And if you wanted to pick it up, I would say go ahead if you like Coco Mademoiselle. So this one was passed along to someone I think might enjoy it more. I think the bottle's beautiful. The name, the price is certainly fantastic. So yeah, those are my bottom 3 for the month. Next up is the middle 3 fragrances. And the 3 fragrances I'm going to share are ones that I wanted more from. I like these and they're staying in the collection. In fact, I may go for the original because one of these is a dupe, but please know that these are staying and these are definitely strong likes for me. So I'm going to start off with Seta from Moresque. I find this to be a very soft, light fragrance. I had a viewer in one of the previous recent videos say that she thought maybe this was a little strong for her, a little cloying. So I bring that up to say that people experience fragrances differently, and that's why some people think it's important to sample before you purchase. So I find this to be myself a softer fragrance and I want more from it. I think it's really a pretty fragrance. It is vanillic, it's resinous, it has a strong like a sticky syrupy thing happening. I really enjoy this, but I want more from it. Now, admittedly, I haven't sprayed a lot of this on. I have been much lighter with this than I would be normally with fragrances, maybe 5 to 6 sprays max. Maybe if I spray more, it will give me that projection and oomph that I'm looking for. Lovely though. I really enjoy this. I just want more from it. That's all. I think the bottle is pretty too. But know that some people do think that this is exactly what I want, that it's actually maybe a little overpowering, a little too strong, maybe a little cloying. I don't get that. But anyway, so that's a middle one for me, but definitely a really, really strong like and absolutely going nowhere. Another one that is going nowhere because I think it is a gem. It's really beautiful. It's from Serge Lutens and it is 5 o'clock Eau Gingembre. This is a tea fragrance. Think spicy tea with a little bit of woodiness. I also get, at least from the atomizer, some aromatic touches, almost like there's a lavender note or something to that extent in there. But this is 5 o'clock. I love that 5 o'clock tea. With some ginger, some other spices, a spicy tea. And I really like this. I wish that this was also stronger and more projecting because it is that beautiful of a fragrance. So this is going nowhere either. Was that grammatically correct? This is going nowhere either. This is also not going anywhere. Whatever. And then the third fragrance, I have a dupe of it, and I think I may consider picking up the original, which I have tried before, and I don't remember there being a big difference. So maybe the original is different. I don't know. But it's from Alexandria Fragrances. It's Fatale de Vanille, which is lovely. And I have tried the original Fatale de Vanille, and I've tried it again, sampling in stores. But I don't think there's that much of a difference. This is another one that, now that I'm smelling, it's really, really nice. I want even more base from this. So that's the reason all three of these are in the medium category. I just want even more of what I'm getting. So I love that Alexandria Fragrances put some of the accords right on the sticker there. So vanilla, balsamic, warm, spicy. It's all of those things. It's a spicy, warm vanilla, and I like it a lot. I think I maybe even like this more than tobacco vanille. It depends on my mood, right? Which one I'd want to go for first, but I would like more of this. I want even more base. Give me the base. Give me the base. Really nice little fragrance. And drum roll, please. For the top 3, I'm going to cheat and give you top 5. It was a really good month. I smelled fantastic. I'm going to start off with an oldie but a goodie, and that's Girl of Now. This is one of those that was like the it girl of YouTube a while back, and then people began to move away from her, declutter her, not give her as much attention. Look, y'all, this is one of the most like cozy, warm weather sweater kinds of fragrances, and I love the nuttiness in here. It's both almond and pistachio. It's got sweetness from a tonka bean. It has pear. There's this underlying bed of cashmere, however you say that gives us just this beautiful, almost like a woody muskiness to it. It's not heavily on the musky end. It's more like on the woody end, but there's definitely a thickness to this that I just enjoy. I think the bottle's really pretty too. And it's just one of those classic, beautiful fall, winter fragrances that I actually enjoy all year round. But if you like a good nutty accord in a fragrance, this is a hard one to pass up. Then one that my husband asked me to wear. Like sometimes I'll be like, hey babe, can you go pick out something that you like for today? And he picked out C from Armani. This is the Eau de Parfum concentration. I love that this fragrance is at the same time deeply sweet from some berry notes. I think it's a black currant that's in here, a deep dark berry, but it's also a little bit tart. There's a tartness in here alongside that deep sweetness that I think is super fascinating. A woodiness. This is a lovely fragrance. I enjoy wearing this. It's a very feminine fragrance in a lot of ways, even though there's the woodiness in it, and it wears well and it lasts all day. Really great. I'll go next to Gold Incense from Carolina Herrera. Beautiful bottle. Ooh. This has a very deep, thick, viscous amber, an incense, a smokiness. It has sandalwood, and like many from this line, there's a prominent cinnamon in here. You don't really notice the cinnamon in this because you're paying attention to the incensey kinds of factors, like that smokiness of incense. If you know that the cinnamon is there, you know to pick it up and you understand how it adds to the composition. Like it really does very nicely accompany the woodiness from the sandalwood in here. This is a powerful, strong winter fragrance if you're into incense sort of smells. I'm getting to my favorite of the month in just a second, but let me also talk about Fire at Will. This is one that I sampled in one of those Is It Full Bottle Worthy videos, and it was. Now, some people have said that, this is from Jovoy, that Fire at Will doesn't last very long or that it calms down into a skin scent. That's probably true, but for me, I'm just so enamored with the beautiful like cotton candy vanillic sweetness of this that I ignore all that because I really like it. So I spray this on. This is newer to my collection. I just recently picked this up and I've worn it a few times, a full day wear, and I've worn it to bed and I really adore it. I think it is a fantastic, really delicious, almost like I said, cotton candy-esque vanilla that just feels really feminine and sweet and beautiful. And then the winner for the month, the top fragrance, top dog, is from Theodoros Kalotinis, and this is Tobacco Maniac. If you like tobacco, if you like honey, if you like a woodiness, it's hard to beat this. This is another one of those super thick fragrances that you need to be in the mood for. Spray lightly or it will carry you away if you overspray this fragrance. I do find that this leans slightly in the masculine direction, but it's really tamed, if you will, by that honey note that is super sweet and thick. If you think about the consistency of honey, this fragrance smell is the consistency of honey. In addition to smelling like honey, it has that like thickness that you get, that sort of syrupy stickiness that you get in honey. So if that sort of thing appeals to you, this is a powerhouse gem of a fragrance that deserves a lot more attention. So thank you, everyone. Those are the December Fragrance Awards. I hope you enjoyed. Please share your favorite fragrance for December in the comments and stay tuned for that year in review video. Take care, friends.